Hello, everybody. My name is Ivan Shvedov. I'm an actor, but today I'm here not to perform in front of the camera, even though we have a couple of cameras here. I'm here to moderate the panel discussion. So, welcome. And I would start with introducing our dear guests. Nancy Bishop, CSA ICDN, is an American-born, Emmy-nominated casting director working internationally with active offices in both London and Prague. Nancy is a chair of the CSA European branch, as well as a normal CSA board member. She has been retained as a casting director by dozens of major producers and directors, ranging from Matthew Weiner on his most recent series, The Romanovs. Recent TV credits include 12 Monkeys for Sci-Fi, Nightfall, The Lore for Amazon. Recent film credits include the soon-to-be-released Ophelia, starring Daisy Ridley, Naomi Watts, and Clive Owen. Past credits include Snowpiercer, Mission Impossible 4, and Bourne Identity. When Nancy is not casting, she's educating actors and has written 2 books on acting. The most recent, Auditioning for Film and TV, published by Bloomsbury, is available on Amazon, so don't you miss it. And Nancy also founded the acting film program in the Prague Film School. Beatrice Kruger. Please welcome with a good round of applause. Yeah. Casting director, ICDN, CSA, UICD. Beatrice grew up in between Germany, Hong Kong, Italy, and USA. Speaks fluently 5 languages, studied acting, anthropological theater, and traveled throughout Europe as a theater actress in the 70s and 80s. In 1999, she founded FBI Casting in Rome, and has many cast Italian and international films ever since, such as Book of Vision, The Cut by Fatih Akin, To Rome with Love, directed by Woody Allen, Not of This World, Spectre, Inferno, Dreamland, 9, Casino Royale, TV series Mozart in the Jungle, and Borgia. Beatrice is based in Rome, a member of AMPAS and EFA, the Italian Film Academy, and founder of italenta.eu. I believe you know what it is, right? Okay, raise your hands who knows it. Okay.
Can I also ask who our audience is? Please raise your hand if you're an actor. Okay, mostly.
Good for you guys.
And raise your hand if you're a producer or director, please. Oh, good. We have some of those too. Okay.
Casting directors?
Are there any cast? Oh, good. I'd like to meet you afterwards. You're a casting director? That's great. And you too? Super.
Nice.
Please come and talk to me afterward. We need some members for our networks from. We don't have any members from Ukraine yet for our network, so we'd like to meet you. That's great.
So, I'll start with Nancy. Nancy, I understand you've been in Ukraine several times, and do you have any special relationship with Ukraine?
Yes, my grandmother was born here. We think she was Jewish, and the shtetl was called Schwarzstimme, and we were able to work out that that probably meant white church, which is the opposite of that.
Right.
And yeah, I was here in 2003. I was here. I think it was 2003 or 2004. I was here casting Everything is Illuminated. And I was here last year at the festival also.
All right. Beatrice, what about you? Have you ever been in Ukraine before?
No, never.
How do you like it here?
I like it very much. I just cast a wonderful Ukrainian actor. Can't tell which film though. And yeah, I like it very much. Unfortunately, I have to leave tomorrow again because I'm working there. But I'd love to come back and stay longer.
Thank you very much. Anyway, thank you very much for coming. And unfortunately, the third participant couldn't make it to. I'm speaking about Kelly Henry. She couldn't make it to Odessa because she got ill. But otherwise, we have 2 highly professional people from the film industry here, and as we are here to discuss the authenticity, and let me start with a question. Nancy, I understand you are the head of European branch of the Casting Society of America, and that CSA. By the way, just to make sure that everybody is on the same page, could you please explain what is CSA and ICDN?
Yeah. Okay. I'll talk about CSA. We're both Beatrice and I are in both associations, but Casting Society of America, even though it's called of America, it's actually international, and we are encouraging and supporting casting directors internationally, and we are encouraging the appreciation of the profession of casting, and we support casting directors who work independently from casting agents. Agents are also very important, and agents are the ones who protect the actors and do the deal and represent the actor, and the casting director is the one who works for production. And we have a European branch.
I'm the president of the ICDN, that's International Casting Directors Network, and that was founded about 15 years ago, I think. We are 82 members of 25 countries, also of America and England, but also of Russia, also of Italy, Germany, France, Israel, and Argentina, Spain, Portugal, and on and on and on. And we are trying to introduce the same standards in casting also for all our countries, all our Eastern and Western European countries. Every country that doesn't speak English practically, because the history of casting comes from America, and England then followed very closely, but all the other countries in Eastern and Western Europe, they started later. And they have different development because of their different histories. And that's the exciting thing about ICDN. And Nancy's also in the ICDN. And so we're together here to talk about this.
Nancy, in your previous answer, you partly answered my question, but still I would like to go a little bit more specific. Please.
We're waiting for the logo for CSA, actually, because CSA is sponsoring our visit here. So we wanted to have the CSA logo.
Right. So I would like to ask you if you could tell us why did they send you to Odessa?
Okay. I think that it's important for us to be here in Odessa, because we want to, because of what I said before, because we want to promote the profession of casting everywhere in the world, and we'd like to expand our membership and make people aware. And so we're really happy to be able to be anywhere in Ukraine. I mean, Odessa, yes, Kyiv, the Baltics, and we are, we're an international organization, and also because casting is now international. Because of the internet and because people can travel very easily. And so we are casting from Ukraine. So it's important for us to have connections here. And we'd also like to figure out how to help you to be visible to us. So.
Well, that's you just touched one very sensitive subject, which I would like to talk a little bit more about. It's a question to both of you. Can you explain us the difference between a casting director and an agent, and why should they be different people, if they should be at all?
Okay, so I just gave an answer to that, and I'll let Beatrice talk about it as well.
Okay, the casting director is somebody who is hired by the production company, just like the costume director, the costume designer, or the editor, or the production designer, to work together with the director and give him options for that field. So as a casting director, you work on the script with the director, on the actors, on the roles of the film, and you make a pre-selection and suggest actors according to how the actors are described in the script, how the roles are described, and according to the taste of the director and the budget of the film and all these things of the production company. And for that, we get hired by the production company because we have to be neutral. We have to have access to every actor. We cannot just have access to few actors. We have to know exactly what an actor is. An agent is somebody who represents a limited number of actors, 40, 100, 200, 10, depending on the agent. And for that, and his job is to get that actor work and to create a career in ultimately also. And for that, he gets 10%, usually 10%, sometimes it varies, from the actor. Not from the production company, but from the actor. That means that agent works for the actor. We work for the production company to find the best actor for the film.
Excuse me, Beatrice, what's the danger of combining these two activities, if there is any?
Well, I mean, this is a big theme because I think casting in Europe, I mean, I've been casting 24 years, and one of the very first films I did was a film where I had to look for actors in all over Eastern Europe, because that was the story of the film. It was a lookalike contest, and the girl was a cleaning lady. She won because she looked like Marilyn Monroe, and the boy was a car mechanic, and he won because he looked like Elvis Presley. So I had to travel all around Romania, Bulgaria, 24 years ago, and that was lots of fun. There was no internet, so meeting actors in all these studios and trying to find someone who either looked like Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe, or who had the quality, you know, of Marilyn Monroe inside and Elvis inside. And thank you.
So you were the guy, right? You were Elvis. No?
Okay. Well, I didn't do that one. So at that time, there were no agents, there was no casting. There were very few casting directors compared to today, because the industry was not so big as today, and because, for instance, in Italy, we did not produce any television shows. Today, we produce many television shows, but when I started, Italy imported most of the stuff from Mexico. Mexico, you know, soap operas and TV series. But all over Europe, and also in Romania, I mean, the studios are now built up again. You know, the countries are doing their own production. They're doing their own productions, producing their own TV shows, and that's where they needed then casting directors. That's how casting directors happened. Okay, that's how it started. So, because the production companies, then there was always very little time, less time to do these things, and therefore, the profession of casting director was born, but not from zero, but by example from what happened in America, because America was ahead. America already had casting directors, I think, since the 50s.
Yeah, and also the ADs were doing it, weren't they,
And
Beatrice?
the ADs.
The assistant directors.
Still today, some ADs do it. But, you know, an AD does not... We concentrate just on casting, from morning till night on actors. The AD has to concentrate on many other things too. So the person who's perfect to be dedicated to casting is the casting director, just like the costumes designer is dedicated to costumes. Okay, so that's the way it happened. But because for my belief, from my experience, the Eastern European countries, they had a working system for the actor, apart from the fact that they had excellent schools and excellent training, much better than from Western European countries sometimes. But they also had an organization. It was the state. It was a state bureau who gave the actors work. I think you will understand what I'm saying. So they did not need an agent, because in reality it was a state agency, which of course is different than a personal agent, but still it was a bureau. When the foreign big companies came into Romania, into Bulgaria, and shot, big films, First it was American films, then also Italian films and French films, or in Czech Republic. They needed, they said, okay, we need a local casting director because we want to find actors also here and not hire everybody from America or something. So that's when people in production who knew theaters, they started doing this. This is how it evolved,
Yeah, that's how I started. I had a theater company.
They started looking for actors in the theaters.
And then I think that what you want to say is that because the actors had no protection, they had no agent, they would just start asking the casting director to represent them.
Exactly. If the casting director got them on
So
the
it happened that way.
then they had to discuss money, and the actor, well, how can I discuss money? They said, well, look, you helped me, you got me on the movie. Can you please tell me? I'll give you money. That's how it happened.
So it was kind of natural. It didn't seem bad at the time.
Yeah.
It seemed like, and there are, to their credit, there are casting, I'll put in quotes, casting directors who are doing that, and they're doing it from the spirit of trying to help the actor.
Yeah.
So it didn't come from a bad place, but
But if there is any trap in that, I mean,
Yeah.
It
Now
started
it's-
naturally, but if there is a problem with that nowadays.
Yay, there's the
Here we go.
logo. They sponsored our trip, so we felt like it was fair to have.
Yes. Since it has developed, we in both our organizations want to make people understand, and also our casting director colleagues and our agent friends, that they have to separate these two things.
Why?
Because it's a conflict of interest.
Because you can't be a servant of two masters. I can't effectively represent the production's interests and the actor's interests because they're not the same, let's face it. I mean, so the actor's interest would be to get paid as well as possible and taken care of as well as possible. The production's objective is to get you as cheap as possible. So those are not the same goals. So that's why, so in other words, the agent and the casting director need to be able to have an argument. Maybe a friendly argument, but they need to be able to have an argument.
Yeah, and also because, like I said in the beginning, the casting director, not representing actors, has to know every single actor, or as many as possible, and has to be neutral for the best of the film. I mean, if I were a producer, I would like to have someone who's dedicated to me, and takes into consideration all the actors. If I'm an agent, I won't do that because my interests are the people I represent, rightly so. So that's the conflict of interest.
Well, speaking of local interests and local castings, Beatrice, one of the themes, and Nancy, of course, one of the themes of this panel is authenticity in casting. How do you feel about it? And if you had to cast a Ukrainian actor, Ukrainian character, would you feel it important to find a Ukrainian actor, for example?
That has always been the way I feel. I always want to cast as authentically as possible. And unfortunately, it does not always end up that way. But yeah, that would be my first instinct. If there was a Ukrainian character, I would immediately try to cast a Ukrainian actor.
Why not Polish? Or Belarusian?
And it happens. It happens for sure. So it's very often what you find is Slavic actors are all kind of grouped together. So yes, that does happen for sure, that you have a Polish actor playing a Russian role. I mean, what makes me crazy, and I really don't like, is I really don't like to see an American actor or a British actor doing a Russian accent. But it happens. And partly the reason it happens is because, and it's not their fault, but the movie industry is very sensitive to, like, we have to have a name, and if we don't have a name, then we don't get the money. And so sometimes you will have, God, what was that movie a while ago where I think it was Harrison Ford and Liam Neeson were playing Russian.
Yeah, I think, was it Submarine?
Yeah,
Submarine?
and and they were stars, so they needed to have the stars in the movie to get the money. So it happens, but I would prefer not to have it like that. And so, I always try at least to get an actual Russian actor or Ukrainian actor or whatever for a role. I always try. And I just was working with, on the one you mentioned, Romanov's, and we did need a Russian character. And I showed him many Russian actors. He did choose a Polish actor.
I'm just saying, me not.
No, you auditioned for this, I'm sure.
Did I?
Yeah. I cast Ivan in Mission Impossible, actually. So
Well, yeah.
he has gotten some roles. The problem is that not all roles are right for. And in fairness, a lot of the Russian roles that we still have is that they kind of are meant to be thugs or something like that. And since Ivan is so nice and he doesn't look like a big mafia guy that's going to beat you up. We don't always have a role for him. This was actually a female role. It was a prostitute. You would have been great at the female part. I should have brought you in for that,
I
Ivan.
felt it that way. Really. Beatrice, what about you? What do you think about ethnical authenticity?
Well, the same as Nancy. I've always cast international. I've always cast actors from the country of the films I wanted to do, unless it was a big problem that Nancy mentioned. I'm doing a film like that now. It's a film that takes place in Russia in the 80s, and so all characters are Russian, but the film is being shot in British, in English, not British, because otherwise it would not get international visibility if it's shot in Russian, and also because the theme maybe is not that.
Let me ask you a question. How do you deal with accents there?
Well, that's exactly it. It's a huge challenge because we work together with a very interesting dialect coach whom a very good dialect coach friend of mine suggested, and it's going well. And it's really, really interesting because we cast for the 3 leads a British actor who has now to learn a Russian very, very little accent, because it's not supposed to have a strong accent. It's supposed to be imperceptible neutral. I mean, that doesn't exist, but something in that direction. We cast a Ukrainian actor who speaks with his slight Ukrainian accent. Wonderful person, wonderful, great actor. And we cast a Russian actress who has a different accent again. And all the other roles are Russian too, which we're casting now. So the English ones have to learn, the dialect coach has to choose one artificial accent. She's inventing this accent, which makes, which is most similar to everybody. And everybody has to learn then that has to adapt to that. So theoretically, it's clear, right? Practically, I don't know. But, this is the big challenge.
Nancy, what's your experience of working with Ukrainian actors? Do you have any?
Well, yeah, I mean, I did this Everything's Illuminated, which took place in Ukraine. And actually, on that occasion, some of the casting we did, sometimes, as you know, sometimes directors want what we call street casting, which I'm sure is done here.
Could you please go a little bit more specific? What is street casting?
Yeah, I'll explain it. And I think it's done here too, quite a lot, is when you go out on the street and you find somebody who's right for the role who might not be an actor. So we did, it's an example I use. Was anybody here last year at the presentation? Just a few, okay. I use this as an example. There's one scene where there's these Ukrainian construction workers. So I actually had to go to a Ukrainian a construction site in the Czech Republic, and there are many Ukrainian workers in the Czech Republic. So we cast them, and I came here to Kiev, and I really loved the actors that I met here. We did cast a few of them, and they were very well trained, very professional. The problem sometimes was. No, actually, that time it was okay. They were speaking Ukrainian or Russian, so the language wasn't a problem that time. But the problem can be, frankly, if we need them to speak English, the problem can be the language and their ability to be understood in English. Because if they're shooting in English, they need to, at the very least, the accent is probably okay, but they have to be understood. Yeah.
Thank you. Nancy and Beatrice, how do you see borders affecting casting? And Ukraine is not part of the EU yet, but do you have any problems casting Ukrainian actors? I mean, that's the question which probably is very important for a lot of people in the audience.
Well, I was really surprised because I was worried about that. I was, this Romanovs that I was working on, we were shooting in Romania. And so I thought that I needed to find somebody in the EU. I thought all the actors I needed to find would be in the EU. And it turned out not to be the case, because I found out that Ukrainian actors with biometric passports could cross the border and work in Romania, which I was really happy about. But I mean, I think that it meant just on that project. I don't want to get into immigration law or permissions. Like, I'm not a lawyer. But in that case, I did find out it was okay. And I found, gosh, I can't remember if she was Ukrainian or Russian, but she was living in Poland, and she had just a green card in Poland, but she was also able to cross borders and work in Romania as, I can't remember if it was Russian or Ukrainian. But so anyway, yes, there are issues, but it's better than you think it is. Let's put it that way. I mean, even though we're in a very bad time in the world, I think, in terms of borders and immigration and hostility towards foreigners, I think we're in a very xenophobic time, and it upsets me a lot. But I think that it's the borders opening up. Or, I mean, what about you? Have you come across this, Beatrice?
Well, we're so used to refugees in Italy, especially in the last years. I mean, it's from all over, from Syria, from Iraq, from Iran. So, have you ever casted anybody from refugees? I have for a Swiss film called Securitas, and that is coming out. I think they're taking their time because it's a low budget production, but they're finished and they're editing, and supposedly it's very interesting and very good. I think they want to come out for the Swiss Solothurn Film Days in either for the Zurich Film Festival in October or for January, the Solothurn Film Days. And I cast a lead who is a refugee from Iran, who really lived in he's had studied acting, and he then lived in Belgium in a camp, where you have to live the first 2 years, and then he got a passport for Holland, for the Netherlands, and he's very good. He's very special, and and he's got a strong story that was right also for the film. So
that's fantastic.
Let's hope it's good film.
So there is a chance for everyone. I don't I don't want to encourage you to become refugees to get a part, but just don't think small. Don't think you are Ukrainian actor. You're an actor from Ukraine. That's a very important thing to remember, especially when you meet casting directors like we have today. And I would like to touch one subject which probably will be perhaps one of the most interesting, as we have in the majority of our audience are actors. How can a Ukrainian actor who doesn't have an agent make him or herself known to casting directors in Europe and America?
What do you think?
Yeah, so Beatrice started this e-Talenta. It's e-Talenta, talent with an A, .eu. How many people already know about it?
Good.
Okay, so that's not very many, though.
But
did everybody take note of what I said? e-Talenta.eu is a casting database for actors. It's in how many languages? 5 languages?
It's a casting platform for Eastern, Western European actors and casting directors from all over the world, and is accessible in 6 languages.
6 languages.
So it's in Russian, Italian, German, French, English, and Spanish.
And this is free. You can join for free. There's different levels.
There's a free profile and there's a paying profile, but for casting, the difference is that with the paying profile, you can put 20 photos. With the free, you can only put 3 photos. And with the pro, you can put show reel, and of course, video is important. But you get casting, and there are many non-represented actors on there. So to answer your question, I mean, if you want to work outside of your own country, and even meanwhile in your own country, I don't know about Ukraine, but certainly in Italy and in France and in Germany, you have to be on one of those platforms because you are visible. Because a casting director, when I look for actors, I can't remember every single actor I got to know in 25 years of casting. You know, I'm getting old, I'm forgetting things. So I need to look on a database. And on these databases, like also Spotlight is one, only in English, but it's, you know, it's also an absolutely valid database. A casting director can put their personal notes, and they can search for personal notes. So it's very important that you have a complete profile, that you write down every single skill you can do, every language, every accent, every dance, every music, every God knows what, every accommodation possibility, you know, everything. Because that means when we do casting, normally we search for actors according to how the character is described in the script, okay? So if it's a French-speaking blonde woman who dances tango and, I don't know, likes to jump high, you know, then you're going to put this in the research thing. And then if you have filled out all your complete details, then your profile will be able to come much more often. And that's how casting directors who don't know you discover you. You see? And it's a professional place. So that's why you have to be on one of those things. Because it takes maybe 2 days or a week to fill it out. But it's good for you because you realize all the things that you can do, you know. And a database is not just a number thing. It can be very personal, and there's also ways to make it very personal, which I'll talk about later. So you should be on those things.
So yeah, eTalenta, e-talenta.eu. Also Spotlight, which Beatrice mentioned. It is not free, that one. It does cost money.
Schauspielervideos.de. It's a
Okay,
German
thank you.
database. Yeah. Have you heard about it? Yeah, okay.
Should you be a German speaker on that one?
Not necessarily.
No? Okay.
No.
But yeah, I guess you have to understand enough German to be able to fill it out, though, right?
I think, as far as I remember, they have it in English and
okay.
German.
Okay, good. And also IMDb Pro, which is a very big website. It used to be the 15th biggest website in the world, but people use IMDb, of course, to look up movies. But the professional site, if you have any film credits at all, you really should be on that site. Your photo should be on that site. Your contact information should be on that site. And yes, unfortunately, you do have to pay for it. I think sometimes there's a way to share a membership, or there's various ways.
Right,
and also you should keep that current too, because casting directors use that. I use it every day. I don't think a day goes by where I'm not looking somebody up on IMDb. And also, if you're in a film, we will look you up, and then it really helps to have your picture there. It helps a lot. So just that's the answer to the question. How are you visible to casting directors? You are on these database sites, because that is where we go shopping. Just like everybody goes shopping on the internet now, right? So that's where we go shopping.
So to put it in other words, for every actor here, especially for those who doesn't have a representative, it's a must. Is it to be on these platforms? Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And
If you're not there, you're...
Yeah.
I mean, if you spend a week, 2 weeks to fill in your profile, okay, and then you know everything you can do is in there, then the profile will work for you. You don't know when a casting director looks for actors. You don't know how many, and all casting directors look for actors on these things. So you should do it. It's silly to miss that chance.
Yes, and also the other thing I want to say is that I have actors say to me sometimes, well, I was on eTalenta and nothing happened. Now that could be, but you don't actually know how many people are looking at your profile, or maybe they've made a list that you're on and you don't know about it. You have to be patient. Things don't happen overnight. So don't get frustrated if things don't happen instantly.
On behalf of my colleagues in the audience, let me ask you another question which concerns the same subject. is it okay to get in touch, especially when you don't have an agent? Is it okay to contact a casting director directly and send your photos and links to your CV, your IMDb credit? That's the reaction. Okay.
If you have a profile, you know, if you have a profile of what we just said, from all these data platforms, all these casting platforms, you can send your profile. That's a professional thing to do. And you write a message. It's all already there. If you have a profile, you can click share. You can put in the email to who you want to send it to, or you can also just send it to casting directors without seeing the email, just putting the name. And then you write a message. You know, it's the, I would say, coolest, easiest, and most professional way of saying this. If, on the other hand, I hate getting emails with 25 gigabyte of photos and
It
you know,
happens,
heavy,
yeah.
it happens the
20
whole time.
pictures,
It's
yeah.
crazy, you know.
Slows
And then what
down
are you
your whole
going to do?
email.
What are you going to do with those photos? You have to print them. You can't remember. It's crazy. They end up in the waste paper basket.
But I would also add to what Beatrice is saying, though, that it could be a complete waste of time to send your profile to a casting director if she's not casting anything that has a role for you in it. So I think that I think agents are looking for talent. We're looking for specific talent at specific times. So I would say 90% of the time when I get somebody just saying, "Hi, I'm here, cast me," nothing will happen. Unless you maybe happen to be lucky because you have some very specific skill. You know, you're that blonde, Russian-speaking, tango dancing, you know, person that I need in that moment. Then maybe I'll respond. But I think it's more effective, really, to have something very specific that you want to say when you write to a casting director. For example, I see that you're casting X film that has Russian characters in it, and I am a Russian actor. Or I see that you are visiting my city right now, and I'm in a play that I'd like to invite you to. Or I see that you're going to this film festival. I want to let you know that I am starring in this film that's at the festival. And that's a specific reason to contact me. And then you're much more likely to have a response. But just these general, I mean, I get 50 a day. I don't know what you get. Just actors saying, "Hi, I'm here, cast me." That's pretty much of a waste of time, I think.
And also, I think it's very good what Nancy said. Absolutely, I agree. But send your profile also, because that way, you know, if I can see you, fine. If not, I can make a note to encounter sooner or later. I mean, that's how I work with my database.
Okay.
I use the database for lists all the time. So it's very possible that you've been on a list and you didn't know it because it's not public. I mean, I just have my own lists. So
I think this is the time to ask direct questions from the audience. So do we have a mic? Yep.
Oh, now we have to put our earphones on so we can understand that.
Hi, my name is Maria. I'm a Ukrainian director based in Netherlands, and I've been working with different casting directors in Netherlands and in Ukraine. But I have a question about this communication between director, production, and of course casting director. You mentioned that you started your work with the script. Have you ever started your work from treatment? Because some of the directors nowadays, they send the treatment to the production, and then when they cast a particular actor, they develop a further script with the actor. So this is of course less, it's more art house approach, but that's what I encountered in the Netherlands, and I'm curious if you ever practiced
Netherlands
that.
is big into that. You know, our colleague Rebecca Van Unen, for example. Yeah, I know they're big into that there. It's a wonderful way to work. I only worked that way once, and that was with Terrence Malick. Works that way. I did a casting for him once, and that's it. I don't know. What about you, Beatrice?
I don't think ever, really. I mean, no, I don't think ever. I mean, I've started working on various times on scripts, which were then completely changed. So I had to start all over again. But no, never with a treatment.
But for example, what would be the crucial part for you to see in a script? The description, the sense of the character. How do you grasp what you're looking for?
Well, the description of the character, of course. And the description of the character has usually gone through various stages. And then when the director is, you know, if the director wrote it, then he has a lot to say to that too. And if he didn't write it, which usually it's a director in Europe, but even if he's a commissioned director, he will still have his ideas, and that you have to add, you know.
So the combination, for example, I'm just imagining, combination between treatment and the character description as a separate thing could work as well.
Yes, of course. No, you're right. I mean, synopsis, a good synopsis and a character description, yes, of course.
Thank you. You answered my question.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. While... Yes, please. Да, пожалуйста. Нет, 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 если хотите, можете и вы, конечно, если у вас есть серьезный вопрос.
Добрый день. Меня зовут Сергей. Спасибо. Меня зовут Сергей. Научите, пожалуйста, как полюбить кастинг-директоров? Как перестать их ненавидеть, актеру? Перестать бояться кастинг-директоров? Научите. И как избавиться от ощущения, от мысли о том, что перед тобой паразит, просто стенка между тобой, прекрасным, гениальным, талантливым актером, и другим талантливым, гениальным человеком, режиссером, а между тобой посредник.
Позвольте, я начну отвечать на ваш вопрос, пока наши дорогие гости переваривают его. Я думаю, что у них останутся очень серьезные впечатления об этой дискуссии.
Да, я надеюсь.
Значит, позвольте мне сказать просто, так сказать, от лица человека, который
уже не
ходит...
боится.
Нет, ну, да. Я вас понимаю, я понимаю, о чем вы говорите.
Да, я понимаю.
Но запомните одну очень важную вещь. Это важно осознать и ввести это на клеточном уровне в свое сознание и тело. Кастинг-директора любят вас. Они бы не стали звать вас на кастинг, если бы они не были в вас заинтересованы. Вы идете туда, чтобы познакомиться с людьми, которые вас заранее, априори ценят, хотят с вами познакомиться. И ни в коем случае вам не стоит себя чувствовать лошадью на цыганском рынке. Вы приходите для того, чтобы рассказать о себе. И у вас есть шанс сыграть, там будут люди, которые получают деньги за то, чтобы... Они тратят свое время на то, чтобы посмотреть вас. Это не так часто бывает у актеров. Бывают актеры, которые играют, как правило, на кухне, там, перед родственниками. Но, Beatrice, are you ready to... If there's anything you would like to add?
No, we agree. Yeah, we agree, of course, that we do. We want you to be good. I mean, we don't want you to be bad. That's completely counter to our objectives. We want everybody to be good. So, actually, I don't know. I'm afraid of actors. I can't believe they're afraid of me.
Did you understand? I'm sorry, I didn't understand correctly. Are you a director or are you an actor?
He's an actor.
I think...
You're an actor. Okay, good.
Okay.
All right. Okay, then let me ask. Our first and utmost desire is to find the actor for every single role, because that means our job is done. So what you're saying is absolutely impossible. I mean, there is no, maybe there's some crazy exception, but from if you do, no, really, I can't. If you're a casting director and you're dedicated to your work because that's what you do, what you love doing, then of course we are on your side. It's more likely that we're on your side than on the director's side in certain situations. So absolutely, we want. I mean, it's our reputation that that is at risk. Otherwise, so I really don't see this. I don't see this thing, and And you know, we, like I said before, our job is to occupy ourselves only and concentrate only on actors. That means we have all that time. The director has to do storyboard, location scouting. He looks at the auditions like this quickly and is on the phone. You know, also that. But for us, we are the people who have to be dedicated. So that's your best. I mean, you know.
Да, я понимаю, но...
If you let me add a couple of words to what you just said, Beatrice. Дело в том, что если я могу со своей стороны посоветовать, как человек, который тоже ходит на кастинги, прежде всего следует избавиться от этой навязчивой мысли, получу я эту роль или не получу. Потому что это убивает все. Когда вы приходите с одним единственной мыслью, что-то я сделал не так, у вас не выйдет ничего, обещаю. Но если вы приходите для того, чтобы познакомиться с приятными людьми и имеете возможность еще раз о себе напомнить кому-то, особенно в профессиональных кругах, это прекрасно. Рассматривайте это просто как встреча двух взрослых, взаимоуважающих друг друга людей, которые заранее настроены на контакт и, возможно, сотрудничество. Если это выльется в работу, непосредственно с которой связан кастинг, прекрасно. Если нет, не забывайте о том, что кастинг-директор на кастинге познакомится с вами и будет вас иметь в виду. Кастинг-директора помнят все. Вот.
Их поэтому не нужно бояться.
Ни в коем случае.
Хорошо. Тогда, кроме любви кастинг-директора к актеру, на чем еще может строиться доверие к нему? Потому что, извините, актер знает, что режиссер, и только режиссер видит человека, исполнителя своей роли.
Сори, вы ошибаетесь. Режиссеры часто... Режиссер имеет общее представление. Для этого, собственно говоря, и существуют кастинг-директора, которые собирают актерский ансамбль, которые помогают режиссеру визуализировать его идеи. В прежние времена, когда не был еще разработан этот институт кастингов, кастинг-директоров и так далее, да, это делал режиссер, который тратил бесконечное время, ходя по театрам, выискивая и так далее. Сейчас для этого есть специальные люди, так же, как режиссер сейчас сам не монтирует фильм, не стоит за камерой. Было время, когда
то есть,
фильмы
если я правильно
крутили.
Понимаю, то сегодня кастинг-директор полноправный соавтор фильма.
Абсолютно. I believe that Nancy and Beatrice would add something to that.
Yeah, we provide this selection. So we maybe there'd be 100 actors that we'd call in, and so we would make a short list and present it to the director. And it's a team effort to actually cast the movie. And sometimes the person who, I mean, also the studio has to, if it's a big studio, the studio has to sign off on this choice too. The producer, if it's TV, it's more likely the producer. So we work with a team of people, but we're in charge of collecting the choices and presenting them and hopefully influencing the choice somewhat. But it's not ultimately us who makes the choice. But we're definitely there to make you look better. I mean, always I try to give actors guidance and help in the casting room so that they'll be better for the role. And I can't imagine a casting director that wouldn't do that.
I mean, it's not. This is not something objective. It's not like it's not like a table or a color. It's a very intimate work. Our work is to understand the vision of the director. So we have to get to know the director, and that means we also have to make mistakes and show him people, and he'll say, no, that's completely wrong. For instance, one of my first experiences was, this was way before internet. So the director, we were looking for the leading lady in the film, and she was described as an intriguing woman. Okay, actress around 30, intriguing woman. She was the lead of the film nowadays. So there was no internet, so I didn't have any videos or stuff like that. I had photos in CV, old-fashioned. Okay, so I had 5 suggestions for this. It was the second meeting with the director. So I showed him photo and CV of this, and he went, sì, possibile. Sì. No. So this was in Italy. So I said, Why? She's blonde. So I said, maybe we can dye her hair. This character cannot be blonde. Cannot be blonde. And I thought, this guy's stupid. You know? Really. And I was, I thought, this guy's silly. Today, I understand very well. Because in his, when a director writes his story, or every writer will know what I mean. When you write a story, you write your characters, and in Europe, most directors are auteurs, right? They write their stories, or they co-write their stories. They've lived maybe for 3 years, or 4 years, or 5 years with the story they wrote and the character they invented. And the images, the associations that everyone has, where do they come from? They come from our personal life experience, right? And that's not your experience, that's not your experience, that's, So everybody automatically associates something from their own life, okay? So this director, which I didn't understand at the time, for him an intriguing woman, she wasn't blonde. She had to have dark hair. So when I said, well, we can dye your hair, that was absolutely irrelevant to him, It was like a basic thing. And now I know what I should have done, and I didn't know at the time, I should have shown him the dark hair quality of the blonde actress. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's the job of the casting director. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's a very intimate work,
Beatrice,
Хорошо.
by the way, just a second. Did you manage to convince the director?
I did.
Ah, great.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, has it ever happened? Well, I believe it did happen. But anyway, I would like to ask this question: that you managed to change director's mind, or not in that particular case, but generally that, for example, director is looking for, let's say, serial killer, and you say, why don't you look not at straightforward typecasting, but why don't you take a smaller guy with this silly smile, for example?
That's the most challenging and interesting thing when you do casting. I mean, typecasting is boring.
Yeah, casting opposite type is an interesting thing to do. Yeah, so we do try to do that. Confound expectations of the audience.
Is that right, that in American film industry it's a kind of tradition that main cast is always reverse casted? Reverse casting?
Not always, of course. There's no rules.
Yeah, but
could be.
Yeah, and supporting parts are typecasted.
Then it really depends on the project,
All right.
I think, and also on the production, the studio or not studio. But it also depends on the experience and the training of the director.
Mhm.
Because if a director, I think that in many countries in Europe, what I'm really sorry about is that student directors, I teach at the Italian Film Academy, how do you say, Accademia del Cinema, no? Where they learn.
Film Academy.
Yeah, where they learn to be directors and actors and so on. And it's incredible because so many director students don't do an acting course. In America, or very many places in schools in America, right? Directors do at least 1 semester of acting. So they understand what the training of the actor consists in. And I mean, especially in Europe, where we have so many strong theater histories and traditions, right? And so different and interesting ones that are all so combined, especially here. That's a bad thing. But that, if a director doesn't know that, and he doesn't have much experience yet, that's where you get typecasting. Because what you don't know, you can't appreciate, right?
Спасибо. Спасибо за ваше уточнение.
Да, пожалуйста.
Здравствуйте. Есть такой вопрос. Каким должен быть идеальный актерский шоурил? Вот на какой бы вы точно обратили внимание? Что бы вас могло в нем зацепить?
Well, I think you have to show us who you are. I have seen reels, and you won't believe this, but I have seen reels when I didn't even know who I should be looking at. So you have to make it clear from the beginning. Start with a picture of you so we know who we're watching. And make sure each shot starts with you again, and show us how to cast you. Show us who you are. I like to see a scene. I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like a montage where it's like, okay, 2 seconds of you in a hat and 2 seconds of you dancing and 2 seconds of you crying. I hate that. I want to see a scene that develops, that has some meat to it. I want to see you acting. That doesn't mean you have to start it the moment you turn the doorknob and walk in. You know, you can start at the good part of the scene, let's say the climax of the scene. But yeah, so I want to see some meat. And what do you think, Beatrice? You don't want to put that on. That'll be worse.
Yes, I understand what Nancy says. I also want to see. I understand what Nancy says, and I also want to see meat. However, for me, a show reel is not that incredibly interesting because, I look at it, but a show reel is always only the chances that you had to play those roles. But we don't know how they were edited in the room. We don't know whether the director was lousy. We don't know, we don't know a lot of things. So what I always like, and I ask that with every single self-audition, I ask you for an About Me video. And an About Me video, for me, is not you saying, hello, my name is Beatrice, I did this and this and this and this. That's boring. And that's uncomfortable for you because you have to sell yourself. And that's uncomfortable for everybody. That's uncomfortable for him, for Nancy, for me, for everybody that's uncomfortable. So I ask you to please speak to me. Tell me something that you sincerely, honestly, that's the magical word, that you honestly, truly are very much fascinated by. Something that you absolutely love. Okay? It can mean anything. It can mean smashing glasses. It can mean flying. It can mean whatever. It doesn't matter what. But the important is that you tell me in 1.5 minutes, or imagine you tell it to a friend, something that you sincerely, honestly, really, really believe in. And when you've done it, look at it and turn off the volume. Don't listen to it. Just see the person, see yourself. And you will notice that the tension that is human from the beginning goes away because you're not concentrated on selling yourself, but you're talking sincerely, it's a magical word, about something that you are truly passionate about. That means you're focusing the attention on your passion and not on selling yourself. I find that's a very good trick, and that helps, especially in when you do e-castings, when you do self-auditions and you send it off. It helps the casting director and the director to see something personal of you. So it's really, really a piece of advice I give.
But isn't it necessary to have for the primary introduction just very dry thing where you mention your name, your experience, your height, and your availability or something?
No,
just for the very first thing.
Well, no, if you send it together with, I ask for it, either it's on your profile, then it's on your profile, so I know who you are because it's on your profile. You can put it on your profile. Or if I ask for a self-audition where you can't upload it, you can upload it on Italenta, but for instance, Spotlight you can't, so for Spotlight you have to send it with WeTransfer and some others too. There, you send it together with the other file of your self-audition. And then you write it, of course. You have to name the file. Yes, that maybe I should say that. Don't send out files without naming them. Put the date and the name. Otherwise,
Yeah, we do get unlabeled ones.
That's true, we
I
get
have
them, yeah.
found files on my computer of actors. I have no idea who they are. Really, it sounds
Yeah.
basic,
Yeah.
like your kindergarten teacher taught you to put your name on your paper, right? So, but I have some things to say about intro. Does anybody follow me on Facebook? No, a couple. Did you see my introduction that I did?
I loved
Yeah.
it, and I highly recommend everybody to follow Nancy's page, because Nancy is doing really funny,
Well-
but it's straight to the point. I mean, these videos which explain things like do's and don'ts, and especially don'ts presented in a very funny way.
Because this made me crazy. I just did a self-tape thing where I gave people instructions. I said, tell me your name, your height, and briefly your experience with stage combat and horses. And I swear to God, one guy, his introduction was 4 minutes long. I went to the kitchen to get some coffee, and I came back, and he was still introducing himself. And by the time he actually finally did his scene, I had no interest in it, So you have to keep your introductions short. And so I did a little funny thing, just kind of imitating some of the introductions that I saw where people would just go on for too long. So I think you have to be really, you do have to introduce yourself very
No,
often,
the
but
About
just
Me
be
video
really quickly.
is 1.5 minutes. This is the time limit. It says.
See,
on the
everybody's
description.
different. See, so when you are dealing with Beatrice, you can give her this video that she's asking for. I wouldn't watch it. I'm just telling you the truth. I wouldn't watch that video. I'm interested in the scene because I know that's what the director's going to be interested in. And everybody has a different style of working. And I always want just a really quick introduction. If a longer introduction is called for, I would say put it on separate so that we can skip it or not.
So to summarize what you just said, that it's good to have both, and it's optional for casting directors. If somebody wants to have a really short, dry introduction, you have it. If somebody wants to see the personality, something really personal, sincere, honest, then you have it too.
Okay,
it's separate.
let me just specify. I do not mean all on one single take. I don't mean audition and About Me video on one. No, they're two separate files.
Right.
And the reason, and they're short. The scene is usually not longer than 1.5 minutes, and the About Me video also only 1.5 minutes, maximum 2 minutes. And the reason why they have to be separate is because that's material that's you personally. And this is something that I can always use for other films too. It's something that shows something of your personality. That's why it's personal, and that's why it's necessary that it's separate.
Yes, please. Okay.
Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
Сейчас. Меня зовут Мария, я кастинг-директор.
I
Да.
really like the reaction. Everybody's like, whoa, hello.
Да, для меня очень было интересно услышать мнение о том, что нас боятся. Но на самом деле это не впервые я это слышу. И в кино я только начинаю. Ранее это была реклама телевидения. У меня вопрос какой? Так получается... Спасибо. Вопрос в чем? У нас в кино так получилось, что очень многие кастинг-директора на самом деле они самоучки. То есть какой-то общей школы, да, каких-то нормативов, каких-то определенных стандартов не существует. И, соответственно, конечно, мы, как представители кастинга, все время из-за этого имеем какие-то определенные проблемы. Бывают ли у вас какие-то, возможно, курсы обучающие, возможно, онлайн? Возможно, вы рассматриваете их возможность для моих коллег, собственно, для меня лично, потому что нет предела совершенству, и если что-то планируется, пожалуйста, расскажите. Если нет, я вас лично готова пригласить для проведения у нас в Киеве таких вот мероприятий.
Yes, we do, Maria. Yeah, And we're developing it at CSA, and let's talk about it afterwards. Maria, come and talk to me, because we are developing a specific course for it. Because you're right. I mean, it hasn't been in our schools either. And I think maybe what you're implying a little bit is because it's not one of the disciplines that you study, that it's respected less. Are you saying that a little bit, or? Yes? Yeah. Yeah, so because we do think it's it's a skill that you can learn. I mean, most people learned it, from assisting somebody else. Or both Beatrice and I both came from the theater, and I had skills as a director already, so I knew how to direct actors. But a lot of it I learned on my own. So
I learned with a casting director. I mean, I learned from other casting director and from theater, and then from another casting director. But I think, how many casting directors are there here? How many do you think there are? How many Ukraine?
Я не готова ответить на вопрос. Но я лично знакома с 5.
5.
Oh, okay. Well,
видите, я говорю о топ-кастинг-директорах, которые для меня интересны.
well, then you should, on the website of the CSA, on the website of the ICDN.
Take this off. This is hurting. This is not helping
know,
you
you're
speak.
On the website of the CSA, on the website of the ICDN soon, and on the Italian Casting Directors Association, but it's first in Italian. You have the rules of the association, and those are rules that are similar in all countries, and those would be good for you to look at, but maybe we can send them to you or give you access to the link to the CSA
We'd
website.
love to talk to you, about
and
that.
then talk to you about it, because it's really, really important to, we're interested in like Nancy said, in finding actors here when we have projects, as you are interested in finding actors probably outside or here, and therefore the way is practically the same always. So I think it's helpful if you have a look at that, and also I don't know how the profession is established here. Is it established? Is casting director let me ask you, do you have a contract when you start casting? Do you have a contract?
Не завжди, не всегда.
Not always.
See, that's where it starts.
У нас все бывает очень по-разному. Многие продакшены в принципе не подписывают никаких документов.
See, we're victims too. This is I think actors think that casting directors are kind of at the top of the food chain, but we don't feel it. We're also victims of production. And actually, I don't think Beatrice does, but some of us do. I have an agent who does my contracts, because I have the same problem you do. When I am up for a job, I'm like, oh, it's okay. You don't have to pay me very much. Just give me the job. We're like that too. That's why we need agents too. Everybody needs to be protected in this industry. Everybody can be a victim. So
I think it's very important that you liaise, that you speak with colleagues from other countries, just as we did. I was cheated for many years, and we had to fight. We fought before you because it started earlier, but and now we have an association and we have international associations. But that's the reason why we're so enthusiastic in telling you about this, because until your profession is not acknowledged, you're not asking the world, you're asking to be acknowledged exactly like the other heads of departments, like the costumes designer, like the editor, like the props manager,
Yeah, and we're also fighting for credit. It was only recently that we even got our names in the credits, casting by, and a lot of the directors in the industry were threatened by us because we call ourselves casting directors, and they were saying, "Oh, we're the only directors. You're not a director. We're a director." So it's like everything
Which
is a fight.
terribly,
But it's a
uh,
good moment. But it's a good moment because since 2014, May 2014, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science, which is the maximum of the academies, right, worldwide, has instituted the casting directors branch. That's the condition to give an Oscar to the best casting director sooner or later. In fact, one was already given an honorarium Oscar. So that means there is now awareness, and the associations are stronger, and we are now a little bit more powerful than 10, 20 years ago. So it's now is the right moment to stick through.
Спасибо.
Да. Я помню, что вы хотели тоже задать вопрос. Но мы сначала предоставим эту возможность вам.
Thank you very much. Good day, Mr. Bishop. I'm sorry. Good day, Miss Bishop, Mr. Shvedov. Guten Tag, Frau Krüger. My name is Julia. I'm an actress from Ukraine. And here's what I would like to ask you. I suppose you know the name of Marion Doherty, who was actually the
Casting by.
casting by the woman who brought to life this subject, casting director. I would like to know, what are you taking from yourself to cast a person? I mean, do you feel that this person is the right one, or do you look at him or her and you know this is the right image, this is the right behavior, this is, I don't know, something else maybe. What do you do on the casting with the
That.
person?
I mean,
What's the most essential quality, if I
Yes.
understood you correctly?
you have to be sensitive. You have to listen. You have to hear. You have to understand, first of all, it's about the vision of the director. If you have to understand the vision of the director, otherwise you're going to waste time. You have to be on the same page. And then when you understand the vision of the director, according to that, you make your suggestions. And you make your suggestions because you feel then that person is right, according to the criteria that were established. So yes, you feel.
Thank you.
Пожалуйста.
I always have difficulty making a formula for it.
Здравствуйте. Такой вопрос. Вот мы сейчас говорим о восточноевропейских актерах, о развитии вот этого рынка восточноевропейских актеров. Скажите, если, допустим, так называемая приглашенная звезда, как у нас очень много бывает кино с таким моментом, ну то есть в обратную сторону, если приглашать актера из серьезных продакшенов, серьезных стран, да, с большим рынком, ну, сниматься в наших проектах украинских, там, ну, восточноевропейских, это как бы то же самое, но наоборот, опять связываться с вами, да, а вы уже будете связываться с кастинг агентами, ну, уже, допустим, звезд, да, там, Голливуда, либо Европы. Это опять-таки как вы как мост выступаете, да, я так понимаю. Ну, то есть это может так работать или это так работает?
Yes. Are you a producer? I'm just curious.
Директор.
You're a director, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is, I mean, there are producers who will go directly to the agents, but they may have less success because that's what we specialize in, is our relationships. A big part of our job is our relationships and our reputations. So yes, it can help you to use a casting director for that, because when I call somebody's, like let's say I call Dallas Smith, who is Kate Winslet's agent in London. I know him personally, so he will come to the phone because he knows me. So yes, you do have an advantage of working through a casting director in those instances. Does that answer the question?
Да, и еще такой вопрос. Вот на стадии проработки сценария, ну, pre-production, да, или разработки бюджета и все остальное, возможно ли как-то оперативно, да, хотя бы спрашивать интерес на базе логлайна, да, о возможности участия в проекте, ну, какой-то конкретной звезды? И либо, ну, либо ряда звезд, да, или ну, что-то в этом роде.
Not with just a log line. I mean, they almost always ask for a script. I mean, unless it was like, perhaps it was a project that was personally very important, like if it was a biopic, for example, maybe about somebody. But I think almost in all cases they ask to see. You've got to take that off. I think in all cases they ask to see the script. In my situation, is that the case for you as well?
It's always the case. I mean, the synopsis. I mean, there's three. If you want a famous actor to participate in your movie, then there's three options. Then there's three possibilities. Either you are a very famous director, all right, like everybody. Woody Allen. Everybody came to Woody Allen. Everybody.
Things are changing for Woody, but bad subject maybe.
Things are changing. Okay, but there's plenty others of them. So. Not just Woody Allen, Francis Ford Coppola. I mean, there's many. Ron Howard. I mean, there's many. And also it always depends on, who you are. There's always a different relationship. Anyway, either the director is famous, so the actor wants to work with the director, and that's the easiest. Or the director is not famous, but the production company is offering a hell of a lot of money. Okay, that too is quite.
Yeah, просто смотрите,
and the third thing is, but that's more difficult. The third thing is, or the script is so damn good, and the role is so damn good, that the actor who is famous and who doesn't really need the money necessarily, that he wants to do it. But that means you have to have invested very much time in writing the script, in rewriting, in checking it, in script doctoring, in having people. That means investing a lot of time in that.
Ну, понятно, ну просто я понимаю, о чем вы говорите. Просто есть еще такое понятие, как читка. То есть читаете вы, читает агент, читает актер, а это время. Ну, о условном каком-то сценарии, грубо говоря.
То есть вы говорите, есть ли возможность дать актеру прочитать напрямую?
Не, как сэкономить время?
No, and it's not. I mean, if you know the actor personally, if the casting director knows the actor personally, or you director know the actor personally, then you or even the casting director can give it to the script, but at the same time the casting director has to send the script to the agent, because for a very simple reason, the agent of a famous actor gets a lot of money from his actor to check the projects that he has. They cannot read every single script they get, and the more famous an actor is, the more material he's going to get, the more offers he's going to get. There's some agents, for instance, Victoria Belfridge, she reads all scripts for one of her actors. He doesn't read them at all. She reads them.
Yeah, she's amazing. She has all these scripts in her office.
She does that. And I mean, not everybody does it, but but that's the thing. It's an organization. When you're famous, then and they spend a lot of money, not just for their agent, also for the publicist, for the lawyer, etc., etc. And the agent has to do his job. That's why a casting director cannot send a script to an actor he knows privately. It would be stupid, because if the actor then likes the script, he's going to send it to his agent and say, look, I want to do this film. And then the agent is going to feel, how do you say?
Leaped over.
Yeah. And now he has to prove to the actor that he's worthwhile his money. And how does the agent do that? By negotiating a lot of money. So it's not in your interest to do
And
that.
yes, it takes time and it's frustrating. Welcome to the club. Welcome to our world, yes. That's just the way it is.
Я прошу прощения, еще в рамках вопроса, последний вопрос. А как юридически защищен сценарий при отправке его столь многим людям? Ну, права, скажем. Да.
Well, you should get it you should get your script copywritten. I wouldn't, I mean, in short, I wouldn't worry about the agent stealing your idea, but I would still, but I mean, I think that just the professional thing to do is to get it copywritten and just to register the copyright. That's just, you should just do that. You can send an NDA, non-disclosure agreement if you're worried about it too. They get pretty frustrated with signing them though. I just sent a non-disclosure agreement to a big agency and they sent one back like from their lawyers kind of amending it, and I said, oh, for God's sakes, our lawyers aren't going to have any patience with, and I just went to the director and said, can we just fucking give them the script, you know, because there's a lot of silliness with it. I would just, if you want somebody to read your script, give them your script. That's what I would say.
Thanks.
So if there are any questions from the audience. Да, дайте дяденьке, пожалуйста.
Добрый день. Скажите, пожалуйста, меня интересует такой вопрос. Сейчас многие русские актеры уезжают на Запад, снимаются, а западные актеры, наоборот, приезжают к нам. Языковой вопрос, вот тут такая тонкая деталь, вот даже мы здесь разговариваем и на английском, и на русском, даже в этом зале. Скажите, а вот когда при съемках, насколько имеет большое значение владение актера языком, потому что сейчас, допустим, при современных уже технологиях достаточно просто звукорежиссеру, даже не обязательно, чтобы это был голос актера, а просто он робот может включить и озвучить полностью фильм за него. Насколько важно ему владеть своим языком.
Робот и сыграть может, в принципе.
Ну насколько важно, вот актер выступает, вот, допустим, он может просто открывать рот, а озвучить может звукорежиссер, полностью уже другая речь.
Позвольте тогда я просто конкретизирую ваш вопрос. Вы спрашиваете, насколько, скажем, владение языком актера, насколько он хорошо знает язык, насколько это может повлиять на кастинг, на выбор его, да?
Да.
No, I can tell you right now, Americans don't like dubbing, and we're not good at it. You know, like my office in the, I'll say it again so you can hear. Americans don't like to dub things, and they're not good at it, so they don't tend to do it. Somebody else can tell them. And in the Czech Republic, my other home, they're much better at it. They don't mind doing it. They do it all the time. But yeah, they don't want to do that in America. They don't want to dub. What about in Italy? And
No, we have a law.
what? Why are you?
I don't know. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm dumb today. I don't know. We have a law in Italy, and that's that you have to respect, and that's face and voice. The voice belongs to the actor, just as the face. So you, as an actor, you have to agree that somebody dubs you. And of course, if you don't speak the language, if they want to dub it into French and you don't speak French, and you're not willing to learn French, then you say, okay, the French actor can dub me. But
It's in the
first of
contract,
all, you have to be respected. And I think that's very, very important because voice and face belong together, just like body language.
Okay, yeah, Sergey.
Hello, Sergey.
But I believe that will be perhaps the last question. Oh, you have a question.
Maybe
Okay.
that's somebody else who hasn't
All right.
asked.
Я могу.
Because there's a couple
Спасибо.
of people who
Yeah.
we haven't heard from.
Yeah.
We've heard
Сергей,
from
тогда, может
Sergey.
быть, мы предоставим
We
право
love you,
еще.
Sergey,
Да,
but
yeah.
maybe we should hear
Не
from
вопрос,
somebody else.
Да, пожалуйста.
This woman
да,
here, and the blonde woman there, and this woman.
Да, okay.
Hi, I'm an actress, and we talked today about myself, video, and showreel. But I wanted to ask you about how this thing supposed to look like your leading photo when you send it. Is that like supposed to be like photos with kind of emotions, or just when you look calm and the way you look like in your life, or try to play anything?
Oh, I have a big chapter about this in my book.
I was just about to say that buy Nancy's book, it's all there.
I have a lot in there, but the short answer is it should be neutral. It should look like you. You should be looking at the camera. You should have natural light, or good. You should be well lit. You should have a neutral background, and your eyes should be alive and active. And we should be able to see who you are. It's actually, I would say it's quite tricky to get the right picture, and actors struggle with it.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Have a look at Nancy's book. Yeah. Anya.
Здравствуйте. Я начинающий актер, и вот скажите, пожалуйста, когда к вам приходит актер на пробы или на кастинг, на что вы прежде всего обращаете свое внимание? На знание текста, на то, как он чувствует роль? Что для вас, как для кастинг-директора, важно? Спасибо.
I don't really know. I think it's in anything there is something I realize first, but sometimes it's the look, and sometimes it's the voice, and sometimes it's the way you do the audition. But you do the audition. I mean, you have never read the script, so I don't expect you to to get the character right, but I expect to see something from you that strikes something in me for the role. Yeah.
In other words, personality.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has a personality, but it depends if that personality, if I immediately get this feeling, and that has to do with voice. It has to do with the way you're natural, maybe, the way you are, the way you do it.
So that's something what one cannot fake.
No, you can immediately see if someone is pretending. That's another thing. For instance, in self-auditions, I want to take the occasion to say this. I'm really surprised how many people do self-auditions, and it's usually a dialogue scene, right? But they don't have an actor who gives them the lines. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but when you do a self-audition, you need to have a scene partner, and you have to have your best. You know so many actors. Actors always know many actors. You have to have a deal with a boy, with a male actor and a female actress, and whenever you are doing a self-audition, you have to be able to call that person up, and vice versa, you for them. Because otherwise you take away the chance to react spontaneously. If you react to the voice that you recorded of the other person, your eyes go dead. You immediately see it.
And even if that person can't physically be there, even having them on the phone with the speaker on is better than having nobody. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's very irritating when they're just doing it by themselves. Yeah, you have to have that reaction time.
And the problem with the phone or the recorder is that the eyes go blank, You look into something.
That happens on set, though, too, Beatrice. I mean, there are times on set where you don't have a reader. You've got the first AD's hand. So if you can't have the actor there, at least
then you have
the phone.
But then you have to be really good at,
Well, hopefully they are good.
And how about playing both characters? Hey, you. Hey, hello.
No, bad idea. Bad idea.
A Russian actor did that for an audition that I just had, and he did a montage. I mean, he really dressed differently.
Oh, really?
He really did it. He was excellent. In fact, in the beginning, I thought, oh, he looks like him, but then I realized it was the same actor.
So you see, it may work sometime, but better not.
Yes, but it's not spontaneous anymore. I mean, he was good and he was right. It's better to have a real person who you can react to. These are small things, that just happen, and that's being alive.
Ваш вопрос.
Hello. Hello.
Да. Hello.
Welcome to Odessa. Yes, I have a question regarding what's the conditions for average conditions for a good or fair, let's say, casting director to work with some production company or a film director? In other words, how much good casting director would cost?
Talk to my agent. It's on my site. You look me up on IMDb and my agent is there and you can call him and book me. Or you can probably, if you want to book Beatrice, you can contact her by email, right? And negotiate.
I didn't hear what
He said, how much do we cost
Yeah, how much
to
do you
hire?
charge for your work?
It's a negotiation. It's negotiated, but
And it's a discreet information.
no, we're not gonna tell you
Yeah,
how much
not-
it costs. Not right
not
here
in-
in
not in public.
public.
3
No,
million.
3 million would do it. Yeah, of any currency probably.
3 million. Fagioli.
3 million seashells, whatever.
All right. So I believe this is.
Yeah, it's time. Yeah.
You wanted to ask a question, Maria? No. Okay.
Yvonne, thank you for doing such a good job with
Oh, it's my
as the
pleasure.
moderator.
I'm learning from you. Yeah. So let me ask you one very last question for all us actors to know. If there is any secret information you share with each other, information about actors, something negative, like somebody, well, this is a person you better don't work with.
I can't. It's very rare that an actor would get blacklisted, or is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
I don't know
sorry.
of any time when we're blacklisting actors among us. I mean, the current trend in Hollywood are, there are some bad guys out there who have abused women, but that's like a different thing. That's like a public thing now. But something among casting directors, I can't think of anything like that. Can you, Beatrice?
No, I know some actors who are hard work because because they don't trust, because they're very weak, and because they're scared. And so they become aggressive. And they become aggressive with the casting director. And that's silly, and I try to explain, but I've had one person who continues to think that I hate him, you were saying before, but it's not true, I really don't. And in fact, I even called him back 2 or 3 times. But that, at a certain point, that's the problem of the actor. I mean, that's the problem of that person.
And the other way around, is there good, positive information that you guys share with each other?
Yeah.
No, of course, all the time. And we have all of these events for actors, like the Shooting Stars event in Berlin is a casting director event. There's we do one a Screen Stars of Tomorrow in London. That's a casting director event. We share information all the time about actors that we like, and we're in fact at CSA we're starting a new initiative which you should see soon. We're collaborating with IMDb and we're doing an Actor of the Week thing. So yeah.
Thank you very much. I think this is a very positive and inspiring information. Remember, the world is round, which goes around comes around. And if you're good, and if Nancy happens to know about it, that means that Beatrice will have to know it, will know about it too. So,
we do share. Yeah.
so let's thank our wonderful guests for being here and for making our actors' life easier and better.
Thank you.